Hello and welcome to the Capitol Report on Entity Television. I'm Steve Lance. President Biden will be holding his first campaign event tomorrow for his 2024 run. What to expect as both Biden and former President Trump are stepping up their fundraising efforts. Entity's Iris Tao has more from the White House.
President Biden got some good news today. The nation's largest labor union, the AFL-CIO, endorsed President Biden's re-election campaign on Friday. And that's as more than a dozen other labor unions also endorsed Biden on the same day, highlighting his labor union ties, which he himself often touts about.
I make no apologies for being labeled the most pro-union president in American history. I'm proud of it.
And the latest endorsements here also come as Biden is set to hold his first campaign event after announcing his 2024 bid. On Saturday, he's traveling to Philadelphia to rally with union members. And that's in addition to the more than 20 fundraising events that he's attending in this month alone. Meanwhile, on the other hand, former President Trump, which is Biden's biggest contender here, is also stepping up his fundraising efforts. After his indictment last week, his campaign sent out a flurry of emails to his supporters asking for donations. And former President Trump announced on Thursday that his campaign has raised over $7 million in just the past few days. Reporting from the White House, Iris Tao, NTD News.
The debt ceiling crisis has been averted, but another budget-related road bump is on the horizon. The annual government spending bills. Democrats are accusing some Republicans of driving toward a government shutdown, as some in the GOP aim to cut funding below the levels negotiated in the Biden-McCarthy deal. NTD's Melina Wisecup has the details.
Right now, the House and the Senate are on a collision course as they work through the appropriations process. That's where Congress sets the government budget every fiscal year. And if that doesn't happen on time by September 30th, it opens up the possibility for a government shutdown. And right now, this path is bumpy, with the Senate working within the budget cap set in that Biden-McCarthy debt ceiling deal that is 2024 fiscal year spending levels, while the House is working to cut that down even more, working within the framework of 2022 fiscal year spending levels. This has led to upset Democrats who accuse Republicans of backpedaling on their promises.
It's perhaps an effort by some extreme MAGA Republicans to drive us toward a government shutdown.
We have a hunger crisis in the United States. And what the Republicans wanted to do was to really make massive cuts. That was the basis for the agreement. And now they don't want to abide by the agreement.
But Republicans have pushed back, saying that the deal met between Biden and McCarthy was meant as a spending ceiling, not a spending floor. The Republican Study Committee this week launched their official budget, and like I mentioned, that is working within the 2022 spending levels. I asked why take this approach if they know this will make it difficult to reach that September 30th deadline. Take a look.
Why set this budget at 2022 fiscal spending levels, considering you do expect pushback?
And going back to say, what does the fiscal spending levels need to look like post-COVID? It's like we've forgotten that we dumped literally trillions of dollars into the economy.
But despite that expected pushback from Democrats, there's also some unhappy Republicans who are skeptical that their party leadership will take advantage of recession loopholes that would allow them to say they're working at 2022 spending levels, whereas the actual spending will be much higher. So now the challenge for Speaker McCarthy is to work out a deal on government funding that's able to get through the Democrat-controlled Senate and that President Biden would be willing to sign. All the while, he is working with just the ability for one member in the House to bring a motion that would strip him of the Speaker's gavel. So McCarthy's walking a very thin line here over the next few months. Reporting from Washington, D.C., Melina Wisecup, NTD News.
The Justice Department releasing a report today on the Minneapolis Police Department, 3 years after the death of George Floyd.
We found that MPD and the city of Minneapolis engages in a pattern or practice of using excessive force, unlawfully discriminating against Black and Native American people in enforcement activities, violating the rights of people engaged in protected speech, and discriminating against people with behavioral disabilities and responding to them when responding to them in crisis.
The report concluded that the MPD has systematic problems that led to the death of Floyd in May of 2020. It says that the department for years used dangerous techniques and weapons against people who had committed a petty offense or no offense at all, used force to punish people who made officers angry or criticized the police, and patrolled neighborhoods differently based on their racial composition. The report came after the Department of Justice reviewed hundreds of police body cam videos, incident and police reports, hundreds of complaints filed against the officers, and dozens of interviews with city leaders, community leaders, and police officials. A new poll showing more and more Americans are against late-term abortions, even among those who support early-term abortions, indicating that opinions are not as divided as they might seem. NTD's Arian Pazdar has some key takeaways.
Earlier this year, pro-life organization Life Action published this video asking a person whether there should be any restrictions on abortion.
I'm going to say no. I say whenever you make that decision, whatever that decision is, I feel like you should be able to do whatever you want to do at whatever time.
Clips and opinions like this one are often seen nowadays. However, Gallup released a poll this week indicating most people don't share this opinion. The poll showed that almost 70% of Americans say they think abortion should be illegal during the third trimester of pregnancy. Meanwhile, also 70% say it should be legal during the first trimester, indicating an overlap and that most people actually have a centered view on the issue. And just last week, Gallup published a poll showing that most Americans don't share liberal views on social issues. 38% of people now say they're conservative on social issues, which is up 5% from last year. At the same time, only 29% say they're liberal on those issues, down 5% from last year. Last year, the numbers were split evenly. Arian Pazdar, NTD News.
Thank you for watching the Capitol Report. If you want to see our full broadcast, check us out at epochtv.com.